It must have been a wonderful experience for Peter, James, and John and the other apostles to have a personal, intimate relationship with Christ, to shake his hand, to hug him, to walk with him, to eat a meal with him, to literally listen to his words and his wisdom. It must have been tremendous. I know I've often wished, and you do too, that we could have that same experience. But what the Lord has left us is the greatest likeness to that, certainly in the Eucharist, where he's truly present to us just as he was to them. And then he's present to us in others. And that's where we have to make greater effort to find Christ in others. It's not always easy. St. Vincent de Paul, the apostle of charity, said that it's not always easy. Sometimes the poor are grumpy, and they can even be demanding, and they're uncultured, and so forth. But he said we have to look beyond that. What would we be feeling like if we didn't have any food or money or shelter? The scriptures today is really the final judgment, how we will be judged. And the Lord says it in Leviticus, all the commandments about not doing anything against our neighbor and treating our neighbor as we would want to be treated ourselves. And then the gospel, we could say it by heart. Whatever you did to another, you did to me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. To see the face of Christ in somebody who is hungry or homeless or whatever it may be, it is a task that we have to always be faithful to. The Lord puts people in our path so that we can help them. And notice in the gospel, he doesn't say that when you give clothing to the naked, it's not as if you're giving it to me. He's saying you're giving it to me, because he really wants us to see Christ in another person. The best example is St. Martin of Tours, who was a soldier, and out one day riding his horse, he came across a beggar who asked him for food. And he saw that the poor man was shivering cold, so he took off his cloak and he cut it in half with his sword, and he gave the cloak half the cloak to the beggar. That night in a dream, he had a vision of Jesus, and Jesus was wearing that half a cloak. The most direct example from this gospel, I think, that we see in the life of a saint. So whatever we do to another, we do to Christ. We can carry that thought with us today. It's not always easy, but the Lord is with us not only in this church and in the sacraments, but he's with us in the people around us. Let us stand and offer our prayers and petitions.